You with Match Night, Ipswich Town versus Brighton. Our main feature is just moments from kicking off. Watching this one at Portman Road, a former Town captain Mick Mills and your commentator Brenna Woolley.
It was 0-0 when these two sides last met at the Amex back in September. It wouldn't be a massive surprise if this one ends honours even as well, given the sheer number of games these two sides have taken a point from already this season. In fact, no one's drawn more than Brighton, 10 of their 20 games to be precise. Blues fans are hoping for more than that, though. They want to fully build on the Chelsea victory the last time we were here in the Premier League. Overall, of course, there's now 3 unbeaten in all competitions for Kieran McKenna's men, who have a little bit of momentum behind them, and the carrot of moving 3 points clear of the relegation zone with a win tonight. The visitors, meanwhile, have lost their way a little of late, failing to win any of their last 8 in the league. Well, their confidence will have been boosted by what they're hoping was the first half of an East Anglian double at the weekend, their 4-0 victory at Norwich in the 3rd round of the FA Cup. And Mick, like me, you're expecting a good game of football tonight, I think.
Yeah, without question. I think Brighton are one of these group of teams that are sort of like in the middle section of the league, but they're firmly in there. They warrant a high position in the league. They're a good side, a little bit like Bournemouth, Newcastle, Fulham, that sort of nature. But where I'm sort of very intrigued to see what happens tonight is that I think since we've gone to a back 5, I think the move has been a good one. We've been successful with that change, but what happens is that you have to say to yourself, where has that extra player come from? He's actually come out of our midfield. Instead of having 5 players behind Liam Delap across the pitch, we're now down to 4, and we're playing against a Brighton team who have got one player who we particularly think is really special in that midfield. His name is Belieber. So theoretically, they've got 5 in there, we've got 4. So there is a big, and I mean a big pressure on our 4 tonight. That's Phillips, Caduce, Hutchinson and Broadhead. The key on our performance lies amongst those 4 players.
The team news then, comparing this side with that was on duty at Fulham in Town's last league game. 3 changes. Morsey and Johnson dropped to the bench. Of course, Smodics is out injured. In come Burns, Phillips and Hutchinson. Great to see Amari back after his injury. Walton in goal, playing against his former club. A back 3 of O'Shea, who has the armband, Wolfenden and Greaves. Burns and Davis are wide, with Phillips and Cayuste in between them. And then Delap plays up top through the middle with support from Hutchinson and Broadhead, who's been in fine form of late. On the bench, Murrich, who was exceptional at the Amex. Jack Clark, who got his first goal for the club at the weekend. Taylor, Morsey, Hurst. Godfrey hoping to make his league debut. Johnson, Townsend, and Luongo. Luongo had a good game against Bristol Rovers as well on Sunday, I thought. 2 changes from the Brighton side that drew 1-1 with Arsenal in their last league game. Although 7 of this side started against Norwich on Saturday. It was a 4-0 win for them. Anyway, out go the injured Julio, his season's over, and Gruder. In come Webster as captain and Matoma. The team has Verbruggen in goal, a back 4 Veltman, Van Hecke, Webster and Estupinan. The 2 holders are Belieber and Ayari, then a 3 of Adingra, O'Reilly and Matoma, and then Pedro is their central striker. I'll give you their subs in a moment, but this is the club's memorial match when we remember, sadly, the Ipswich Town supporters who passed away in 2024. Very nice gesture, which more and more clubs are doing, having their memorial matches. The Brighton players and fans took a part in that round of applause as well, with a message on the big screen. Once a blue, always a blue, paying tribute to those Ipswich Town fans who passed away in 2024. Now it's all about Hey Jude, and the atmosphere building towards kick-off in this 7:30 Premier League encounter between Brighton, who are kicking off in all yellow, aside from the blue pinstripes on their shirt, playing from right to left, as Ipswich Town just draw Christian Walton and Wes Burns, a couple of strugglers, into their pre-match huddle off to our left. Town in their blue shirts with a white pinstripe, white shorts and blue socks, and they will be kicking their preferred direction in this first half as they try to extend their mini unbeaten run to 4 matches. The win over Chelsea, the draw against Fulham in the league, and then that comfortable passage through to round 4 of the FA Cup on Sunday against Bristol Rovers, and a trip to Coventry in the 4th round early next month. Play underway as the smoke from the pyrotechnics just departs Portman Road with the ball out of play underneath us for a throw-in to Estupiñán, the Ecuadorian left back for Brighton and Hove Albion. First Premier League meeting here since 1983, or at least top flight meeting since 1983. In largely grey kit, Christian Walton gets an early touch, bangs it up to the halfway line. The ball gets sandwiched between Webster and Ayari, one of 2 Swedes in the midfield. He's up against his compatriot Kiyuste. Ayari, ball into the Ipswich area, collected by João Pedro, the Brazilian, on the left-hand side. He's been in injury doubt. It's a big boost to have him back for Fabian Hürzeler, the youngest manager in the Premier League. Doesn't turn 32 until next month. Here is João Pedro, wide left, the number 9. He's a good player, the former Watford man. Tries to squeeze a first cross into the area, launched away by Ipswich Town. Then Ayari, who played against Town a couple of times last season for Coventry and Blackburn on loan, but he's been getting plenty of minutes in the Premier League this time around. Here is Van Hecker, one of 2 Dutchmen in that back line of Brighton. In fact, the only Englishman in their team is on the ball, Adam Webster. Here he is once again, 53 appearances for Town, 1 goal in his time here when Ipswich signed him from Portsmouth and sold him to Mark Ashton's Bristol City.
And he was always suited to the modern game, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Certainly very, very good with the ball at his feet.
You liked him straight away for Portsmouth, didn't you? Remember the Alan Hansen comparison?
Very much so, yes.
Here is Van Hecker, regular fixture in that back line. In fact, this whole back 4 played against Norwich at the weekend. Nice straightforward 4-0 win for them. They've got Chelsea in the next round of the FA Cup. Brighton, who start this match 11th in the table. Long ball forward to the edge of the Ipswich area, nudged on by the forehead of Greaves, back to Walton. It was Adingra who went after that one.
Yeah, that's the type of run that you see so often nowadays. You see all this short passing at the back of the team, and then they are all the time, you know, you don't think they're doing it, but they are looking right up the pitch for that forward run, and they will hit it.
Again, Town going long from the back, from Walton. Burns trying to cause Estupiñán to make a mistake under pressure. Looked like a foul throw from Estupiñán. Matoma, very gifted player. Estupiñán in a theatrical dive. Bought the free kick under pressure from Dara O'Shea. O'Shea getting well up the field on this near side. Clearly vice-captain this season. The armband in the past when Morsey's not been in the side.
Yeah, this will be a difficult situation, is where Burns is supposed to be our wing-back and Dara O'Shea one of 3 centre-backs, and they will try and pass over Matoma, who plays very much on the left-hand side, left winger really for Brighton, and they're going to have to get that passing over absolutely perfect.
Webster goes long. O'Shea is dependable as ever in the air, caught by the gloved hands of Fabian Hürzeler down below us. Kieran McKenna just having a word with Nathan Broadhead in the centre of the field. Town 17th in the table. They went out of the bottom 3 with Newcastle's comfortable win over Wolves last night. Walton gets the ball back from Greaves. Greaves, of course, reunited with Philogene from their time together at Hull last season. Liam Delap, part of Liam Rossigna's side as well. Here is O'Shea. Chilly night, you can see his breath as he throws the ball to Hutchinson. Now back with Wolfenden, who had the captain's armband in the cup. There is Walton, just 6 appearances for Brighton. Christian Walton back in the day, given away by Kiyuste. Poor Adingra, wide on the right-hand side. He's a lively customer. Kiyuste wins it back. He's blocked off by Baliba. Baliba's first involvement in this game. There is O'Reilly, summer signing from Celtic. He had a terrific spell O'Reilly again, the Danish international. Back into midfield. Veltman gives it to Webster. Brighton with about 90% of the ball so far, as we've come to expect at this level, it has to be said. Matoma cutting in field, right-footed ball into the Ipswich area, headed away by Leif Davis as far as Webster, the captain of Brighton, seeing plenty of the ball early on. He's going to go after this one and have a little bit of time. The number 4, very close friends with Connor Chaplin. Adam Webster from their time at Fratton Park. Forward from Van Hecker, trying to get João Pedro involved. He's controlled the ball on the outside of his right boot in the left back area, edge of the Ipswich area, gives it towards Ayari. Ayari tried to lay it back to João Pedro, it went to Veltman instead. He bends it out to the right hand side in a dinger up against Leif Davis outside the Ipswich area. In comes the ball from Veltman, headed by O'Shea, skimmed the top of his head. He knew what he was doing. It was good defending from Dara O'Shea.
Yeah, very good defending, but Brighton are starting to boss the game a little bit too much for me, but they are that, you know, they've been at this level a little bit longer than us, and they are comfortable with doing it, so you've got to expect it, really.
It's an 8th season at this level. Finished 6th 2 years ago. They got to the last 16 of the Europa League last season, Brighton. Hoping to qualify for Europe again this time around. Had some notable wins. Beat Ajax a couple of times, AK Athens, Marseille and Roma. But that obviously impacted their league form, and they finished 11th last year. It's a free kick at the back for Ipswich Town. 5.5 minutes gone in this 7:30 kickoff. The middle game of 3 at home for Ipswich Town. Mick and myself will be here from 4:30 on Sunday for Pep Guardiola's Manchester City. And then the following weekend, Liverpool at Anfield. The returns from Town's first 2 matches of this Premier League season. Walton, left-footed kick down this near side. The ball comes down the face of Burns, up to halfway. João Pedro to Belieber, blocked off by Broadhead. Belieber stayed down. The referee says that's a foul. It's Tony Harrington, the man with a whistle.
Well, you expect Belieber to do that to other people, not for somebody to do that type of tackle on him. I mean, he went right up in the air from that challenge. It was a fair challenge. Yeah, it was. But he just sort of took him right off balance. Might have shaken him up a little bit.
It's holding his groin at the moment. Belieber. It's his breakthrough season, really. Signed in the summer of 2023, but just played in dribs and drabs last year. But he was sensational at the Amex. Real strong presence in midfield. Webster's ball bends out of play away from Matoma. Matoma definitely playing down the left-hand side, which is where Adingra played against Norwich at the weekend. Well, it's definitely Matoma's preferred position.
Yeah, I think that.
It was Matoma one side, Minte, who's on the bench tonight when Town were at the Amex. Dara O'Shea with a throw to the halfway line. Belieber wins the header. O'Shea again for Ipswich. Pits it high, nodded down by Webster, chested by Estupinan, infield to Belieber. Belieber bangs the ball up into the Suffolk sky to the far side, looking for it to bounce down on that far side of the field. Brighton have the ball into midfield. Belieber plays it square. Little touch to left-hand side and Matoma's ball into the area is a good one, and down in the box goes Ayari under a challenge from Phillips. It's a corner kick to Brighton, no more than that.
Well, it was a super run, and it was a really super ball, played with the outside of his foot there, and got into a good position there, really good position. Great ball by Matoma, and you know, giving a corner from that away from that type of position is not a bad thing. That was a dangerous position.
Brighton eventually going to be taking this corner kick. Ayari, the number 26, is on it. Any yellow shirts forward in the Sir Bobby Robson stand penalty area, off to our left-hand side. 0-0 on BBC Radio Suffolk in the 9th minute of this Premier League game. What can Ayari conjure up from this set piece? Headed by Greaves across the edge of his 6-yard box. It's Broadhead who finds touch on the far side for a throw-in to Brighton.
Already gone out, Brenner. I think they're going for a corner. Yeah.
Corner kick number 2 to Brighton in quick succession. Matt O'Reilly is on this one. Corner kick to Brighton. Everybody in and around the penalty area in yellow off to our left. It's O'Reilly to deliver, left-footed towards the far stick. A player goes down, Webster will go after it, but he can't do anything with it. Curls out behind for a goal kick to Christian Walton.
Yeah, it's the usual 6 players that go into the opposition's penalty area for corner kicks. It seems to be the favoured system now. I mean, it always used to be 5. Often teams only put 4 in. You know, they like to have a bit more space to work in, but now nearly every team goes for 6.
Goal kick, which Christian Walton is going to take for Ipswich in the 10th minute. Up goes Delap. First time he's been mentioned since I read the teams out, really, but Webster won the header against him. Matoma keeps the ball in near side, loves to run with it. Matoma couldn't quite get it through to João Pedro. Phillips can't do anything with the ball. O'Reilly back to Baliba. Ball's going to be strong in midfield, Brighton tonight, with Ayari, Baliba and O'Reilly. Baliba to the left side of Stupinan. On even further to left, Matoma outside the Ipswich area now, on his right foot, pulls it back to Baliba. Baliba, little ball towards Stupinan, then he blocks it on the edge of the area. Baliba goes back to Burns inside his box. He finds Walton, and Walton clears away from inside his 6-yard area. Stupinan rises, goes above Delap, wins the header. Ipswich Town just can't get a hold of the ball. Have next to nothing in the way of possession in this first 11 minutes. Here come Brighton again, they're a good side. So Riley, the number 33, to Adingra. There from Sierra Leone, little ball into the box, it just evades the control of Ayari. And it's shepherded out behind well by Jens Kajust.
Yeah, that was good play, but they're beginning to push us back, and where you can really tell the fact they pushed us back is Wes Burns' position. He's now gone into his favoured right side attacking position, but for a long period just now he was very much back as a defender.
Foul on Broadhead by Veltman. Gets Ipswich up the pitch. At least Brighton have never won here in the top flight. 3 defeats and a draw. It's their 5th visit down the years. Spent a lot of time out of course, the top flight between 1983 and 2017. Quite an achievement when they finally got promoted to the Premier League for the first time. Kajust loses the ball. Brighton can't find João Pedro. Wolfenden has it. He guides it to the right. O'Shea down the line to Hutchinson. Nice touch and feel from Hutchinson. Phillips controls it. Tries to get it back to Hutchinson. Hutchinson prods it on, but he's caught late by Webster. Free kick. Nothing more, says the referee.
He's lucky. He's lucky. Some referees would have decided to sort of stamp their authority on a game by that type of challenge early on and getting a yellow card. It was a bit clumsy. Careless.
Greaves holds off O'Reilly, allows the ball to roll to Leif Davis on the far side. Back it goes to Wolfenden. This time will have expected. They know they're in a game here tonight. Their first home league game of 2025. Broadhead, who did very well at Fulham in his last appearance. Kajust to Greaves. Has to go back to Walton with his pick boots on the edge of his 6-yard box off to our left. Oh, almost gave it away. He has given it away. Baliba to Matoma. Matoma shoots along the deck. It's a comfortable stop for Walton, but that was a little bit messy from the goalkeeper to give Brighton that chance.
Yeah, I didn't think it was on to take a shot, to be honest. I think Baliba's given the ball to Matoma, but he's taken a shot when it wasn't really on, and he's not hit a good one either.
Hutchinson down the line to Burns. Stupinan committed. Burns still has the ball, taking on Baliba, getting the better of him. Excellent play this from Burns. He pulls it back into the area, dealt with by Veltman, only as far as Calvin Phillips. Scored in that net off to the right at the weekend. Now it's Greaves, the crowd getting behind Ipswich Town. First time they've come forward in this game. 13 gone 0-0. Greaves urged on by the crowd. Here come Ipswich. Davis has given it to Broadhead. Veltman kept his eye on the ball expertly. Ayari up towards João Pedro. He'll hold it up on the halfway line. Cost £30 million from Watford. Good player though. Did look like he was capable of playing at this level when he was at Vicarage Road. Out from the keeper Verbruggen in his pink outfit off to our right. He was rested for the cup game at the weekend. Jason Steele kept that clean sheet at Carrow Road.
Yeah, it was a nice little bit of attacking play by Town, and then you see Brighton immediately through Webster and the goalkeeper. Right, we're going to slow this up just because Town had one attack.
Wolfenden steps in there ahead of João Pedro. Darragh O'Shea with a little drag back against Matoma. Hoped to hit him as he with the ball on its way out of play, but missed. It's a throw to Brighton. Maybe 18 yards inside Ipswich Town's half of the field. Underneath us, their left, it's Estupiñán with the throw-in live on BBC Radio Suffolk Sport. Van Hecke with a brief involvement. Now it's back with Webster, who's seen as much of the ball as anybody out there in this first 14 and a half goalless minutes. Here is Van Hecke. Been a great signing for Brighton. No Lewis Dunk in the starting lineup at the moment. He's just come back from injury for them tonight. He's available on the bench, the England centre-half. Had problems in that area with that Dunk, and Igor Julio, the Brazilian's been ruled out for the season. Webster getting a run in the team. Gives it to Van Hecke, north of the centre circle, out to the right-hand side, and Veltman plays a low ball in towards João Pedro in the area, well defended by O'Shea, and then doesn't take any chances, just launches to the halfway line. It's applauded by the Brighton manager, that bit of pressure from his side. But Kieran McKenna will have been pleased with what his captain on the night did. There is Van Hecke again in centre field, the number 29. Diagonal ball to the far side along the floor to Veltman, the number 34. Most experienced player in there at 32. He's given it to the 21-year-old Belieber. Belieber back to Webster on the left-hand side. Matoma up against Burns, cuts in field, tries to play the ball around the corner towards Ayari, given away by Estupiñán. Burns to Hutchinson. Hutchinson loses the ball. The referee says play on. Hutchinson's on the deck, no foul challenge. This is Mr. Harrington. Here come Brighton. The ball bounces around, comes back to Estupiñán. He gets the better of Phillips. Plays it square to Veltman. Veltman into the area towards João Pedro. He controls it. Wolfen and gets an important touch in. Davis goes back to Walton. A little bit risky from him, but it's worked out. Delap flattens Van Hecke. The referee's having none of that. Free kick, just maybe frustration from Delap, because he's not had a sniff of being involved in this game so far.
No, he's not got in the game at all, and that was sort of an imitation shoulder charge, I think, that hit the player on the chin, possibly.
Don't watch that side of his game. He's on 6 bookings this season. Delap closed down Verbruggen. Webster first time to the right-hand side. Great noise inside Portman Road. O'Reilly jabs the ball out to the left, looking for Matoma. Well headed away by Burns. Will be collected though by Estupiñán. Brighton still with so much more of the ball. Number 30 stands on it and then goes back to Webster. Been tight affairs recent seasons when these two sides have played. The last 3 have all been draws. Town unbeaten in 4. But in that spell, just 3 goals in the last 4 meetings. Veltman back to halfway, and Van Hecke, who's left for dead one moment by Delap with his pace at the Amex, I remember. Scared the life out of the Brighton back line. It's the first time we really saw that searing pace that Delap has. Brighton passing it around in the middle third. Now they can come forward. O'Reilly's on the ball. He can certainly create something. Gets to the edge of the area, gives it to Adingra, trying to get the better of Davis. Davis gets a toe in. Away it goes partially, only as far as Veltman. Now with Belieber to the right-hand side of Adingra. Shapes to cross, gets away from Davis. Inside the area, left-footed ball into the middle. Over the top of Ayari, headed away by O'Shea. Brought down by Belieber. In goes Burns, almost catches Estupiñán on the ball. Belieber gives it back to Webster. Out to the left-hand side, Matoma. Been forced back to halfway, Brighton.
This is very difficult for Town. You know, they almost don't particularly want to play with 5 through Wes Burns, but they're being forced for the 5 to go back. The one who seems to me is having a difficult time is Nathan Broadhead, who's playing very much between the right back and the sort of right centre midfield player. He's finding it difficult.
Here is Belieber trying to pick up O'Reilly. Good interception by Broadhead. Kiyusted as well to find Hutchinson. Nice turn from Hutchinson. Lovely little run so far, but then all of a sudden there are 4 yellow shirts round about him, and Brighton get it back to their goalkeeper Verbruggen.
This is a game of concentration by both teams, really. Brighton, because they've dominated the ball for a long time, will be expecting something to gain from it, you know, and the fact they haven't gained anything from it, they might get frustrated, whereas we're really, because we haven't had the ball, we've got to concentrate so hard.
Town trying to capitalise on those defeats for Everton, Leicester and Wolves last night. The results went very well for Ipswich. Remember Southampton away to Manchester United at 8 o'clock tonight, rounding off this full midweek of fixtures in the Premier League. Greaves, he's got himself back in the side and getting a run. Kiyuste goes back to Christian Walton, just behind the penalty spot off to our left. He drills the ball up towards Delap, over the top of him. Webster wins an unchallenged header, then gets it back from Baliba to the right side. And Veltman, former Ajax player. There is Adam Webster once again. Rules it into midfield, and the Stupinan finds Ayari. Ayari challenged by Phillips, gets it back to Van Hecker. He gets to the halfway line, Van Hecker, over the top it comes from him. That's got too much on it. Walton sees it go out behind for a goal kick. Off the deck to Ipswich Town. We're still goalless after 20 minutes.
Yeah, and very little has happened. I mean, Brighton have sort of won a couple of corners, but they haven't really sort of created any real chances in the game so far. They've had extreme domination of the ball, but no chances or no real gain from it, and Town have had to just concentrate and not give them anything. We've got to get ourselves...
Walton's given the ball away, and it's nodded back, or knocked back into the Ipswich area, looking for João Pedro. Wolfenden headed it behind. It's a corner kick to Brighton after another poor bit of football from Christian Walton in terms of his distribution.
That was a difficult position for Luke Wolfenden to be in, really, because he had to make a decision. You know, was he going to take a risk on leaving it for his goalkeeper? I think he made the right decision in dealing with the ball. It's another corner, but at least you've got everybody back inside the penalty area now.
Approaching the midway point of this first half, Brighton have their third corner kick off to our left, and it comes from O'Reilly. Looked a decent one, still alive inside there. A dinger in the number 11 brings it down, crosses towards the far post, headed by João Pedro. Very little strength on it, easily to gather for Christian Walton.
Oh, I thought that was a dangerous one onto the back post. They had 5 players on the very back post, you know, making runs from there, and that ball could have come down out of the sky and hit any one of those 5.
Here is Luke Wolfenden playing in the middle of that back three. To his right, O'Shea, who gets a touch, but first time it goes back from him to Christian Walton. Definitely first choice in the league at the moment, Christian Walton. Might be Coventry before we see Aaron Muric again. Kiyuste, totally rested at the weekend, as was Broadhead. Plays it back to Wolfenden. Only man that's featured from the start of all of Town's games so far in the new year. O'Shea up towards Delap. Lovely little touch back from Delap to Broadhead, who'll get away from Veltman. This could be interesting. Nice running from Broadhead. Broadhead, edge of the area, has a go. He's entitled to. Saved by Verbruggen. It's a good effort from the Welshman, and by far the closest we've come to a home goal.
Yeah, it was the best attacking move we've had, and that was when you've seen both wing-backs high up the pitch. We left the 3 centre-backs for the very first time in the game. The wing-backs went up, and in the end we got one of them sort of causing problems, and that was Leif Davis, and he gave Nathan Broadhead a lot of room to work in, and he did work it well, and he did produce the best save of the night so far.
Yeah, very good play from Broadhead. Created the opportunity for himself. He's totally entitled to have a go, particularly given his ability from that area. Kieran McKenna just having a word with Luke Wolfenden. Corner kick played short. Davis to Hutchinson, back to Davis. It's a high one to the far stick. I was going to say it's still alive, but it's not. Calvin Phillips could have done something with it, but the referee was unhappy with something going on in that area and has blown his whistle.
Yeah, I'm not sure what the referee saw there, but he saw something immediately and didn't like it. Blew his whistle, and he's given a free kick there. That was a little bit silly when you're in the middle. Don't give away stupid free kicks, because you work so hard to get a cross in nowadays, and you don't just give a free kick away.
Stupinan lifts the ball over the top of Phillips. Town win it back through Phillips. Infield to Hutchinson. There is Kiyuste. The run was made by Davis. Kiyuste waited, gave it to Greaves instead. Greaves to the left-hand side. Davis, can he keep it in? Yes, he can, over on the far side. He's done terrifically well under the Brighton fans. Back it goes to Kiyuste. Maybe a chance for him to cross into the Brighton area. In it comes. Burns challenges, headed away by Stupinan. They've only lost 4 games all season, Brighton. It has to be said. Chelsea, Liverpool, Fulham and Palace, the only sides to have beaten them. They've beaten both Manchester clubs. They've won at Newcastle this year. Just the fact they've drawn half of their 20 games that's held them back from being serious top 6 challenges at this stage anyway.
Yeah, we're beginning to get a little bit of joy in the game, and Leif Davis did fantastically well to keep that ball in over on that far side near the byline, and it's given us a chance at some possession. This is the first time in the game you've seen the shape of the back 5 with the wing backs high up the pitch and the 3 centre backs left a little bit on their own. We've just got to be careful we don't get hit on the break, but we've got to take a chance occasionally.
Good play from Broadhead again. Got the ball up to Delap. Excellent forward hold-up play from the big man. Now it's Hutchinson running at the Brighton back line, who are backpedaling. Hutchinson, 25 yards from goal, edge of the D. In slides Webster. Great challenge. And it's now with Baliba the ball. He gives it square to Estupiñán, back into the Brighton area with the Seagulls captain Webster. He gives it to Verbruggen inside his 6-yard area. Out to the right-hand side, he finds fellow Dutchman Veltman. Veltman controls the ball stone dead under the packed away end. Many Brighton fans have made this trip on this Thursday night.
Well, we needed that passage of play just to let the supporters know that what we're trying to do, you know, we're trying to make sure that we don't concede early in the game, and when we get an opportunity we will attack Brighton. Now they've seen it, now they're behind the team.
Certainly made Brighton think. Up to the halfway line, João Pedro gets it from Webster. Ayari can't go past a couple of Town players. O'Shea's done well. Hutchinson, that was poor from him. Ayari, you can see what he's trying to do. He's trying to curve the ball off the outside of his right boot into the path of Adingra, rushing into the Ipswich area, but got it all terribly wrong. And it's straight back with Walton, and it's still 0-0, but Town much more in this game as an attacking force. Been concerns for Brighton defensively the last few moments. Town with a threat. Davis far side, infield it goes to Phillips. Town still have it right at the back. Phillips turns and goes back to Walton. Here is Wolfenden. And the last corner kick, Kieran McKenna was insistent that Wolfenden came over for a fairly lengthy chat. Phillips, Dagley to the far side, headed down by Adingra, back to his goalkeeper Verbruggen.
Yeah, I'm very surprised how far in Estupiñán sort of plays. He's 20 yards away from Wes Burns. I think when Wes Burns goes forward and hits the touchline, I think the left back has got to be somewhere close to him.
Webster up to Matoma, back in field to Ayari, square across the back line for Brighton to Van Hecker. He plays it through a little gap in midfield to O'Reilly. O'Reilly measures a pass out to the right, but not particularly well. Greaves ran onto it rather than Veltman, and sees the ball back to Christian Walton without much of ado.
Yeah, I think we're doing well. We've got away from that bit of domination of Brighton. We're beginning to show a lot of confidence, a lot more movement, and Brighton look to me as if they're getting a bit frustrated, which can happen if you have so much of the ball and you don't do anything with it. That's when some players can sort of lose it a little bit.
Walton, disguised pass, finds Wolfenden. Back to Walton in the area off to our left. João Pedro tries to close down the Ipswich Town goalkeeper, but he gets it to Greaves in lots of time. Davis in field to Kayuste. There's some open ground in front of him. He threads the ball through to Broadhead. Here come Ipswich Town. Broadhead to the left. Lovely control by Delap. That was exceptional. Delap, edge of the area, has a go. Saved by Verbruggen. And he couldn't afford to spill that because Wes Burns was right on top of him.
Excellent play by a number of players there, and the control in the end by Liam Delap was excellent. That ball was coming towards him at a real rate of knots, and the outside of the right boot just said, "Bump, that's my ball," and it just dropped nicely in front of him so he could take an instant shot.
Two decent saves from Verbruggen. Walton's not had to do as much as that so far in this game. Town looking very exciting when they come forward. And when you think of the talent that Ipswich Town have got going forward, and the likes of Philogene, Jack Clark when he fully gets up to speed, Chaplin, Smodix, the way that Broadhead's playing at the moment, the way that Hutchinson has been, and obviously Delap, Hurst now back, and of course it was good to see George Hurst get his minutes against Bristol Rovers. Cause teams problems. There is Estupiñán, so many of them at the right age as well, very young. Particularly likes of Delap and Philogene and Hutchinson. Clark even. Estupiñán forward to Ayari. Hutchinson challenges. Ball won back by Brighton in the end, but quickly the Blues have it. Phillips infield. Kayuste just gets it back to Greaves. It's a lot more even Stevens this game at the moment. Town playing well.
Yeah, very much so. We've sort of just we've just taken the game to them on a couple of occasions about 5, 6, 7 minutes ago. Gave us a bit of confidence, gave us some belief.
Poor from Wolfenden, ball given away. O'Reilly hauled back by Kayuste. Surely going to be a yellow card, certainly a free kick. The referee wants a word with the Swede. Maybe going to get away with it. Certainly a final warning for him. Probably deserved a card, but fair enough. Webster, with exactly half an hour played at Portman Road, has this free kick a long way from the Ipswich Town goal line, just inside their half. Brighton work it to the far side with Van Hecke. He jabs the ball to the edge of the Town area, headed square by Wolfenden, has to be dealt with by Burns, and the D ran into trouble, eventually went back to Walton, and Walton smacked it left-footed to the centre spot, chested down by Webster. Delap shoves Veltman in the back. Nothing doing, says the referee. Here is Webster again on the ball for Brighton and Hove Albion. For Bruggen, just 22, the Brighton goalkeeper, very highly rated. He's been looked at by some big clubs across Europe, headed away by O'Shea. Phillips nudges João Pedro to the ground. The referee says play on. Estupiñán hits the ball against Hutchinson. Phillips gets it to Kayuste, who loses out to O'Reilly. Here come Brighton with João Pedro. Phillips had a nibble at him, tried to bring him down. João Pedro nutmegs Broadhead. Veltman outside the Ipswich area. Little ball into the box. Wellied away by O'Shea. Hutchinson trying to get on it. Just outmanoeuvred by Estupiñán, who gets to the halfway line and turns. Faces back into the Ipswich area, but ultimately passes it backwards towards Webster. 31.5 gone. Still waiting for the first goal of the season between these two teams. Veltman crosses into the Ipswich area. Oh, it evaded Matuma. It will be collected eventually by Estupiñán. Left-footed first-time ball into the Ipswich area. Brilliant header away by Greaves. Shot into the ground from Veltman, but the referee's already blown his whistle.
Yeah, good defending, really good defending. We do sort of expect that from O'Shea, Wolfenden and Greaves. You know, they're all very good headers of the ball, and they love those central positions inside the penalty area. And invariably one of our three deals with it. That type of ball in the box, we can deal with it quite comfortably now. Yeah,
that is a real strength, you're quite right. It's a free kick which Walton is going to be taken for Ipswich Town. Kieran McKenna really screaming and very animated. This time Town played out via Wolfenden to O'Shea, down the line to Hutchinson. Thankfully it came off of him, went out of play, because otherwise Brighton were motoring with Baliba running into the area. The referee wants a retake of the throw-in. Estupiñán is going to be taking it. Final 12.5 minutes of the first half. Live on BBC Radio Suffolk. Every kick of every Ipswich Town game will be here for Manchester City on Sunday, and then Alex Matthew will be alongside me at Anfield for a 3 o'clock Saturday game. That's a rarity, a week on Saturday. Ipswich Town away at the league leaders in their next away game. Here is Ayari, losing out to fellow countryman Kayuste. Broadhead's on the ball, brilliant from Broadhead, but then he tried to feed Delap, when if he'd looked to his left, Kayuste was the ball that was on. But again, good play from Broadhead.
Yeah, really good play. Since he's come back in, the one thing he has got is a great ability, the ability that can grace the Premiership. You know, he might not have certain things that maybe it's the power that he lacks that is not making people believe in him, but he certainly has ability for this level.
Phillips gets the better of Estupiñán. In steps O'Shea. The ball goes high into open ground far side, which eventually Van Hecke will get on it. 11.5 to go of this first period. Brighton drawing yet again. Baliba in between the two centre halves. Drawn their last 3 away games in the Premier League. Only won 6 of their 20 Premier League games this season, Brighton. Van Hecke Gets the ball to Veltman. Veltman in field, but Wolfenden is there. Now gets it up to Delap. Delap might have to go it on his own, which he's happy enough to do. Takes a little nudge from Van Hekken. No, says the referee. It's a glare from Liam Delap. Webster's on the ball. Standing still. Goes back to Van Hekken. Back to Webster. Underneath us. Forward from Webster. Get away from Ayari. Wolfenden's the red-hot favourite to get there first. He plays it back to Walton, who controls it in his 6-yard area, then rattles it away from the near post area. Hutchinson on the ball after a mistake from Webster. Can't get forward, held up, then surrounded by 3 yellow shirts. Phillips gets away from O'Reilly, goes down. The referee says free kick for the foul by Matt O'Reilly. O'Shea takes the free kick, finds Greaves. The ball in the centre circle now with Kayuste. Greaves, the little drag back. The easy option is Walton, and he stands on the ball edge of his penalty area. Walton, left-footed, looking for Burns, but he finds Stupinian. He just twists his neck and heads it back to Verbruggen, stationed on the edge of the Brighton penalty area. Still no goals with 35 minutes gone in this match. Brighton's last win here, it's almost 9 years ago now, a 3-2 victory. The last time they met here it was 1-1. Luke Chambers with a goal for Ipswich in February 2017. Daryl Murphy had a great record, I seem to recall, against Brighton, home and away. Ball out far side for a throw to Leif Davis of Ipswich Town. Brighton bench studiously looking at their iPads down below us, as Martin Pert is doing for Ipswich. Finally, Davis with this throw-in up towards Delap on halfway far side, the Ipswich left for the next 9 minutes at least. Van Hekken gets the ball out from under his feet all the way back to Verbruggen. Now Webster again. This time he goes back to his goalkeeper, a little bit frustrated that there weren't too many options. Perhaps Adam Webster, who's now still just 29 actually, has been on the verge of an England call-up in recent seasons, never quite made it, but who's to say he won't go forward. Verbruggen out towards Ayari. Kayuste's on to him. He gets it back to Webster. Town trying to press off to a right-hand side. Brighton trying to beat it, all very cat and mouse. Here is Bart Verbruggen again inside his penalty area, off to our right. Verbruggen goes long towards a Dingra, headed away by O'Shea, chested down by Wolfenden, who found himself in a midfield position. He gives it back to Davis. Davis up to Delap, trying to take on Van Hekken. Oh, Delap slips it beyond, a brilliant play from Delap. In goes the challenge of Veltman. Delap's up in the air. Clean challenge though, says the referee. No complaints from Delap. It's out for a throw-in on the far side. You always think something's going to happen when Liam Delap gets the ball.
That was a great tackle, and he won't be worried about that, Liam Delap. He'll appreciate that.
Great challenge, but lovely play from Delap, who took Van Hekken to the cleaners. Phillips goes back to Wolfenden. Every game he just enhances his growing reputation, Liam Delap. Hutchinson has done terrifically well, turns the ball down the line to Burns. Burns can carry it into the area, a little pull back towards Hutchinson. Baliba blocks the shot. Kayuste was also maybe getting in the eye line of Hutchinson and didn't do his mate any favours.
Awful play by Estupiñán. I mean, he's gone in there. He's not getting close enough to Wes Burns for me to start with, playing too far in field, and then he's gone after a ball that he was never ever going to get, and nearly cost his team. He really did.
Yeah, Burns had loads of space in which to motor, and he certainly did. Just watching a replay of that as Baliba has the ball in the centre. Yeah, Murray Hutchinson complaining that Kayuste went for a ball that he shouldn't have done, but I think Baliba would have made the block anyway. Here is Van Hekken. Fascinating battle between he and Delap. Here is Van Hekken once again. Little short ball to O'Reilly. Baliba gives it to Webster. Are we going to see a first half goal? 6 minutes for either of these sides to find one. It's the yellow of Brighton who have the ball in the Ipswich half off to our left at the moment. Not very far into the half though. In fact, Van Hecke's only now just leaving the centre circle. Van Hecke pings it against João Pedro, cannoned off him to Adingra. Adingra infield to Ayari, 30 yards from the Ipswich Town goal line. Back of Ayari's shirt well muddied. Now it's with Veltman towards João Pedro, right on the edge of the area, bursts into the box, down the right side of it. João Pedro took a couple of blue shirts with him. Back it goes to Van Hecke. Brighton trying to create a little bit of pressure on the Ipswich Town goal. Van Hecke with a cross into the Ipswich area, going towards it. Here's a Stupinian. He appeals for a corner kick and gets his way.
Yeah, he's quite confident to take up some, well, quite strange positions, Estupiñán, the left back. I mean, he's gone in there. He's sort of almost like a striker going into the box there.
To number 33, Matt O'Reilly, who's gone over to the far left corner of Portman Road to take this corner kick for Brighton. 5 minutes exactly to go in this first half, which for the most part's been a fairly even Stevens affair. Referees you might have heard there, and a rare lull from the crowd. You could have heard his whistle go. Or should just sort something out, maybe involving Calvin Phillips, possibly Veltman as well, inside the Ipswich Town 6-yard area. O'Reilly on this latest corner kick, Brighton's fourth of the game. It's 0-0, left-footed into the Town area. It comes, it travelled a long way, no one got anything on it. Ooh, it was a great ball in from O'Reilly. Thankfully it swung out behind for a goal kick to Walton.
Well, you won't see that many times. You know, you've got so many players in that penalty area, of blue-shirted players, yellow-shirted players, and that ball didn't have an awful lot of height on it, and then yet it's gone right the way through without anybody touching it.
Greaves bangs the ball high up towards Delap, won by the right boot of Van Hecke. Adingra trying to take on Broadhead. It's gone out of play directly from Adingra for a throw-in. Kieran McKenna sitting down, looking at the screen down below us. Broadhead with a switch of play to Burns. Burns controls it on his right boot, this near side, up against a Stupinian. Believes he can take him on and beat him, which he's done. The pull back into the area is dealt with it by Ayari just inside the box. Wolfenden slams the door shut on João Pedro. Phillips to the right-hand side, Burns. João Pedro's night is over, I think. He's down with what looks like a nasty injury. Town playing against 10 men. Might have been a hamstring. No room for sympathy. Ipswich have the ball with Greaves out to the left-hand side. Davis has a chance to cross, doesn't, then slips, eventually gives it back to Hutchinson. Hutchinson has a go, saved by Verbruggen off to his right-hand side. That's the third decent save he's made in this first half. Town have been testing him. Now the referee halts play, and João Pedro in quite a bit of trouble here.
I think that was a super save by the goalkeeper, and I think when he's got up to stop this ball from going out for a corner kick, I don't think he quite makes it. And I looked at the linesman and he wasn't in a good position to make a decision, and I think they've got away with it, Brighton.
I think João Pedro miraculously is going to be okay. Everything about his body that way, he's certainly not been play acting, so it's a bit needless from the home crowd. It's what you get. I know it's pantomime, but he was worried about that. He's hobbling, he's not had any treatment. It's going to be okay to continue. It's more like a groin issue. Wolfenden generously keeps giving him a pat on the back.
It was actually Luke Wolfenden's studs just slid down the back of his thigh, so that's good for the player because that's a blow, not a muscle tear.
Absolutely. He's hobbling around on the halfway line, but nowhere near as bad as it could have been had it been something to do with muscles. Now he's getting a bit of grief. Idiots. Here is Broadhead on a run, tripped by Ayari. It's a free kick right in the centre of the Brighton half of the field.
Good run again by Nathan Broadhead. It's positive. That's what I like about him. He really goes at defenders really well, and he's won Town a free kick in a good position.
Yeah, he's got the ability to just ghost away from people. We saw him do that at Fulham a couple of weeks ago. Final 2 minutes of this first half. Still this season, no goals in the games involving Brighton and Ipswich Town. But can the Blues take the lead late in this first half? It's Davis over this free kick for Ipswich Town. Almost 40 yards from goal in the central area. The number 3 is over this set piece. He plants it into the Brighton box towards O'Shea. The captain heads it down away from Burns and then lashed away by Ayari, who gave the free kick in the first half. Now the referee has brought a halt to proceedings because the flag has gone up against Ipswich Town off to our right hand side.
I'm glad Leif Davis saw that. I saw it. I saw Dara O'Shea being marked by Mitoma, and I'm thinking, go on, everybody else make a run across the box and leave that lovely one-to-one between O'Shea and Mitoma, because I know who's going to win that.
We are into the final minute of the first 45. Wouldn't imagine there's going to be masses of added on time played. Still goalless. Baliba with a back header to the halfway. Webster sends it up into the sky. João Pedro battling with O'Shea. Great work from the skipper of Ipswich Town. Then Phillips heads it forward. Webster gets it back. It's head tennis over the halfway line. Baliba brings it down, gives it to Mitoma. Yeah, just the 1 minute of added on time, which we're into. João Pedro gives up on that one. It's a goal kick to Christian Walton.
I think Town have done well. This has been a good half for them. You know, it's difficult to start with. They had to concentrate. They had to be patient, but they you know, did that. They were very, very patient, very organised, and they've sort of come through to actually, at many times, look the better side. And certainly of the shots at the Brighton goal have been more threatening than what the efforts at our goal have been.
Right at the end of this added on 1 minute at the finish of this first half. Brighton have the ball in their half. Baliba knocks it to the centre spot. Davis wins a header. Up goes Baliba again. Here's a Dingra. And it's still goalless, as it was at full time at the Amex Stadium in September. At the halfway stage tonight, it's Ipswich Town 0, Brighton and Hove Albion 0, McMills.
Yeah, I think this was an interesting game in as much that I think Brighton didn't surprise me with the way they started. They looked a really competent side, a confident side, and they looked as if they could dominate the whole of the proceedings. But you know, we didn't. It wasn't about being negative. We had to just be organised and concentrate fully on what, you know, Brighton were trying to do to us. And I think that it maybe, as far as supporters are concerned, went on too long, because they don't really like to see their team sitting sort of deep and defending for a long period at the start of the game. But they had to do it, and they did it, and they did it well. They didn't give Brighton very many opportunities to sort of take the lead, and slowly but surely we sort of mounted 1 or 2 attacks. Certainly the first 2 attacks were good ones, and it gave us a little bit of gave us some confidence to say, well, this is what we can do to you. And I think it sort of momentarily knocked Brighton back on their heels. It took some confidence away from them, and they weren't quite so sure of themselves. And the longer the game went on, I thought that maybe we just sort of edged the game, really, because certainly I think Verbruggen has had to sort of produce 1 or 2 saves that Christian Walton hasn't had to do. So if that's the measure as to who's had the best of the first half, it certainly has been Town. The one player, Estupinan, I've heard that he's a really, really good player. He's strong. He probably has got pace, but his positional play, for me, is awful. And he's going to end up giving Wes Burns so much room down this side that Wes Burns is just going to say thank you very much, and he's going to take advantage of it, and he's going to do something for us. He's going to create something really special, and it's all because he's number 30, but he's the left back. He's going far too far infield for me. He's disrespectful to Wes Burns, if you like. But generally speaking, as far as Town is concerned, they're getting the shape of the team really well. Leif Davis, who was very quiet early on, is now being able to come forward and get on the ball a lot. I think that Dara O'Shea and Wes Burns have worked this position down the right-hand side really well. They're talking non-stop to each other. They're sometimes two defenders, sometimes, one attacker and one defender. They're getting it absolutely perfect down this side, so that's good. I think that Greaves and Luke Wolfenden look sound. The midfield is working hard enough for me. What has surprised me about Brighton is Belieber, all of a sudden, having seen him down at Brighton and then looking at him tonight, I think his role has changed. I think he's now a holding player. He's very much sort of a dictator of the play. He's receiving a lot of balls. He's doing a lot of passing. But down at Brighton, we saw the other side of him. He was an unbelievable athlete down there. So they've almost put the reins on him a little bit. I don't think it's to their advantage. I really don't. He's doing a nice job in there. But I do like the one we saw at Brighton more than the one we're seeing tonight. But good performance by Town in the first half.
Yeah, Town are doing very well again, but sadly no goals so far for them, but they have tested Verbruggen a lot more than Brighton have tested Christian Walton so far. Let's hope that Town can get a goal in the second half when full match commentary comes up. When we resume, it will be Ipswich Town 0, Brighton 0.
21 gone at Old Trafford. No goals in tonight's other game in the Premier League. Manchester United 0, Southampton 0. A bit of tennis, bit of golf and some cricket coming up during our half-time break.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen.
On BBC iPlayer.
Hi, it's Michael McIntyre and I'm back with the show that nobody can quite remember the name of. People either call it the one where I take people's phones. I'm going to send a text to all of your contacts.
Please, don't do that.
Is he laughing? Or the one where I wake people up in the night.
This isn't a dream.
No, this is actually our midnight game show, so let's get started. It's called Michael McIntyre's Big Show.
The new series of the Michael McIntyre... What's it called again?
I give up.
Michael McIntyre's Big Show.
Got it!
Starts Saturday on BBC iPlayer.
Just gone 8:20 with Match Day on BBC Radio Suffolk. Ipswich Town 0, Brighton 0 in our main feature. Full second half commentary coming up shortly, whilst the football is the main item on the agenda at Portman Road tonight. Something important happened pre-match. It's the club's memorial match day, so an opportunity to pay tribute to Blues that are sadly no longer with us, including supporters, ex-players and staff who passed away in 2024. Let's hear more about this. Seb Norton, the club support engagement executive, has been speaking with Jacob Ottaway.
It's a really special tradition for the football club. It's an opportunity for us to honour and remember the members of the Ipswich Town fan base and the community, ex-players, staff and everyone connected to the club, to have that opportunity of remembrance for them. It's all about bringing people together and allowing us to celebrate their legacy and the impact that they've had on the club.
And in the weeks running up to the game, people have been obviously getting in touch with you because you are the point of contact if people want to have a tribute to their loved one. I imagine you've been having lots of people getting in touch.
Yeah, absolutely. Plenty of fans have got in touch and they've really gone out their way to share stories and pictures and memories of their loved ones and showing just how important the club is and how intertwined we are with their lives. So yeah, it's a real testament to the deep emotional connection that we have with people and that people have with the club.
Let's talk about that connection because it's more than a football club, isn't it? You know, without the fans, there is no club. So it must be a privilege for the club to be able to show these people's names, show these people's faces on the big screen, you know, in front of hopefully 30,000 fans.
That's it. Fans are the football club. They're the heart of it. And it's only right that we give back and ensure this opportunity to pay respect.
And it's not just those in the stadium that will see it because, I mean, the game is on TNT Sport as well. So people around the world, you know, Ipswich Town fans in, say, Singapore, America, wherever they are, because we do have a fan base around the world, they'll be able to see this. That's quite touching, isn't it?
Of course, yeah. We do have an international fan base as well. It's not just people that attend Portman Road day in, day out that are included in the memorial. It is people that are connected with the club internationally will be a part of that. A really nice point that it will be broadcast around the world and that everyone, whether you're at Portman Road or watching on the TV, will be able to pay their respects. And really important for the families as well of those people that have sadly passed away and are included in the tributes, that they'll have that wider audience. So again, a really emotive piece and something that I think is a testament to the supporters and the fantastic contributions that they've made, as well as the club's active part of their lives as well.
And I think, on a final note, we do need to pay testament to the club because, not every football club, I don't think, has a day like this. And I think it's not unfair to say that in the community and away from the football pitch, Ipswich Town does go above and beyond as a club to sort of reflect, represent, help those in the community and be a good club for their fans. I mean, it really is testament to how hard the club works, and I imagine you and the club are proud of that work you do in putting on events like this. Absolutely.
The club has a special place in the community, and obviously the community is a big part of what the football club is and what we do, and especially a tradition like this going back multiple years. It is something that's important to us. It allows that respect to be had among us and the fan base, and allows that bigger picture of without the fans, a football club really isn't what it is. So I think it's a really important moment and a really important thing that we get right, and something that everyone should be proud to be a part of.
Ipswich Town's club support engagement executive Seb Norton speaking with Jacob Ottaway about tonight's memorial matchday tribute at Portman Road. We're at half-time. If you just joined us on BBC Radio Suffolk, it's Ipswich 0, Brighton 0. Full second-half commentary on the way shortly. Still goalless at Old Trafford in the 8 o'clock kickoff as well between Manchester United and Brighton. Away from football, Jack Draper takes on the home favourite Alexander Vukic in the third round of the Australian Open tennis tomorrow morning. For Draper, the 15th seed, it's a second match in a row during which he's played an Australian player, and he says he relishes facing a crowd that wants him to lose.
At the end of the day, it's a bit of fun, I was watching a few of the Premier League ones with the FA Cups, like everyone, getting on Ange's back the other night, and he's just stood there taking it. It's good, it's sport, it's entertainment, that's what it is.
Draper's fellow Briton, Jacob Fernley, has called his next opponent, Alexander Zverev, incredible ahead of their last 32 clash at the Australian Open. The tournament is Fernley's first overseas Grand Slam. The British number 3, who only left university last April, is excited to play the number 2 seed from Germany.
I saw him play Norrie at Wimbledon, and that was this year, and it was an incredible match. And I'd never really seen him play live, and I was like, he's an amazing tennis player. You kind of don't really really get a grasp of it until you actually see it live. And he was incredible, and he's still pretty young actually, and he's been, I don't even know, 7-8 years at the top of the game. So incredible tennis player, and I'm really excited that I'll get a chance to play one of the biggest names in tennis.
You can follow those on the BBC Sport app, of course. Later in the programme, we'll hear from Emma Raducanu after a mixed day for the Brits in Melbourne today. She is through to round 3 in the women's draw after a straight sets win over Amanda Anisimova, but Katie Bolter is out of the competition. The first round of the Dubai Desert Classic Golf has been completed, but the headlines in the sport have been made elsewhere, as Ian Carter reports.
One of the breakaway Live Tour's star players, John Rahm, carded a 3-under par 69 to move to within 4 shots of the lead here. Simultaneously, the Saudi-backed league announced a multi-year television deal with the Fox network, a significant move in securing their future. It's the first move since Scott O'Neill takes over from Greg Norman as the Live CEO, a move praised today by Rory McIlroy. The Northern Irishman is 5 off the lead, held by the US amateur David Ford, Australian David Micheluetzi and Portugal's Ricardo Gouveia.
Ian Carter with that report. In cricket, England all-rounder Nat Sciver-Brunt says she wants her side to give the best show of themselves in the third Ashes One-Day International. England were unable to level the series on Tuesday against Australia after failing to chase 181 for victory in Melbourne. Sciver-Brunt was asked whether tomorrow's One-Day International is a must-win.
It's important to get points on the board, obviously, but I think it's more about ourselves and giving the best showing of ourselves, I think. And like I said, being willing to fail in the right way. If I guess, judge myself on the way I've played and am I happy with that and has it stuck to the sort of team philosophy, then, I'll be happy with the result, whatever.
And just before first half highlights from Portman Road, let me tell you that the Masters Snooker in London, Sean Murphy is through to the semi-finals after a 6-2 win earlier today against Neil Robertson. Murphy was on for a 1-4-7 in the final frame, but snookered himself on the yellow, having potted all 15 reds and 15 blacks. Mark Selby and Mark Allen are currently in action in the second of today's quarterfinals, and it's Allen who leads by 2 frames to 1, but it looks like Selby's going to level just before the interval in that one. Second half at Portman Road is next.
O'Shea up towards Delap. Lovely little touch back from Delap to Broadhead. We'll get away from Veltman. This could be interesting. Nice running from Broadhead. Broadhead, edge of the area, has a go. He's entitled to. Saved by Verbruggen. It's a good effort from the Welshman, and by far the closest we've come to a home goal. Kayuste, there's some open ground in front of him. He threads the ball through to Broadhead. Here come Ipswich Town. Broadhead to the left. Lovely control by Delap. That was exceptional. Delap, edge of the area, has a go. Saved by Verbruggen. And he couldn't afford to spill that because Wes Bones was right on top of him. Hutchinson has done terrifically well, turns the ball down the line to Burns. Burns can carry it into the area. A little pull back towards Hutchinson. Baliba blocks the shot. Kayuste was also maybe getting in the eye line of Hutchinson and didn't do his mate any favours. Davis has a chance to cross, doesn't, then slips, eventually gives it back to Hutchinson. Hutchinson has a go, saved by Verbruggen off to his right-hand side. That's the third decent save he's made in this first half. Town have been testing him.
Wayne Babin at breakfast.
The list of things lost by passengers included a tent, a microwave and a grass trimmer. I find it bizarre that you're both mentioning the grass trimmer and the tent when someone forgot a fridge.
I had a rucksack and it had in that rucksack £2,000 in cash. So I had to get off at the bus in an unusual place. I thought, wait a minute, where's my bag? I'd left my bag on the bus.
We got a dressed crab, got on the bus, got home, got indoors, and where was the crab? I dread to think what that bus must have smelt like.
The sting. Wayne Babin at breakfast.
Weekdays from 6.
BBC Radio Suffolk.
Don't forget, Mick Mills taking your calls, the former Ipswich Town captain, at full time after today's main feature. 0800 141 2121, the number to speak with him. He's alongside Brenna Woolley at Portman Road. At second half, about to get underway. Ipswich 0, Brighton 0, still goalless as well at Old Trafford, by the way. Just over half an hour gone in that one. Manchester United and Southampton also goalless.
Just Ipswich Town out in front of us at the moment. Here come Brighton. Doesn't look to be any changes for Ipswich at half-time. So Walton will be in the goal off to our right-hand side, already going through his pre-game ritual. The back three, O'Shea the captain, Wolfenden and Greaves. Burns will play down the right, that's the far side in the second half. Underneath us will be Leif Davis. In between them, Phillips and Kayuste. Delap leads the line with support from Hutchinson and Broadhead, all of whom had efforts on goal in that first half. On the bench, Murrich, Jet Clark, Taylor Morsey, Hurst Godfrey, Johnson, Townsend and Luongo. No changes for Brighton either at half-time. They've got Verbruggen in goal. The back four, Veltman, Van Hecker, Webster the captain, Estupinan. Then the two in midfield, Baliba and Ayari. The three of Adingra, O'Reilly and Matoma in behind. João Pedro the striker. On the bench, Steele, Lamptey, Dunk, March, Enciso, Jorginho, Moda, Minte and Welbeck. Ipswich Town then in blue, playing against the largely all yellow, aside from the blue pinstripes on their shirts of Brighton and Hove Albion. So 0-0 at the Amex in September, 0-0 here at the halfway stage. Who's going to blink first? Maybe a chance for Ipswich Town early on in the second period. 30 seconds gone. Leif Davis with this throw into the Brighton area, headed away by João Pedro. All 10 yellow shirts back inside the area, including the number 9. Phillips' header goes out near side for a throw-in to Brighton. It's going to be taken by Veltman. Of course, it's good that Ipswich Town got George Hurst back and available from the bench if needs be. No Ali Al-Hamadi on the bench today, nor Harry Clark or Cameron Burgess. Veltman eventually gets this through and down this touchline, back heel in field from Adingra, doesn't quite work out. Hutchinson's on the ball for Ipswich, gets it to Delap. Delap out to the right-hand side, and Burns up against a Stupinan, tries to turn away from him. Burns still has the ball, tries to get the early cross into the box, pings off a couple of Brighton players, and it's a Stupinan who clears up towards João Pedro, has to hold it up. He's done well. Not fouled by Cayustes, but the fact he's gone down. Broadhead, short to Cayuste, back to Broadhead. Ipswich Town having a go at the start of the second half. It looked more likely to score in the first period. Greaves with a header forward, brought down by Ayari. He just manages to slip it to Veltman. Van Hecker knocks it straight down Portman Road. Wolfenden with a miscontrol, and he's almost made a mess of it a second time. Gets it back to Walton. It was his lucky moment there. Walton sweeps to the halfway line. A Stupinan's header goes down to Burns. Burns forward towards Delap, battling with Van Hecker. Broadhead picks up the pieces. Can't fully get the ball under control, and it drops nicely back towards Verbruggen.
Yeah, Broadhead has been picking up some nice loose balls here today. You know, he's really sort of getting... He's working the position nicely. He's not too wide, he's not too far infield. He's sort of getting into some nice areas, and his control, which is really, really top class, is helping him out tremendously.
Half-hearted appeals for handball from the crowd by Belieber on halfway, and when the referee does eventually blow, it's because of Calvin Phillips being overly physical on Yasin Ayari, who's gone down holding his left heel. Afterwards, have your say on Match Night. We're on air till 10:30. The phone number 0800 141 2121. Have a chat to Graham and Mick. Or text 81333. Start those messages with SFK. Or WhatsApp 08000 321 333. Again, precede those with SFK, so they get through to us at BBC Radio Suffolk. Forward from Van Hecker, the free kick, headed off the edge of the Ipswich area by O'Shea. Burns forward to Hutchinson on the far touchline. Hutchinson runs, then checks on the halfway line, starts again, going back through the gears, the former Arsenal and Chelsea man. Hutchinson still has the ball, tries to give it in field to Broadhead. It was blocked off the ball. Brighton have got a man down on the edge of their area. I think it's Joel Veltman. He went down rather dramatically, holding the base of his back by the looks of things. Yellow card. Is that for Delap? Yet another one. Didn't watch that. Yeah, that's 7 yellow cards. That's a heck of a lot for a striker at this stage of the season. 3 more and he gets a 2-game ban. Ooh. Been told to get away by Van Hecker, pleading his innocence to Veltman.
I've just seen it on the replay. He was a bit naughty. He pushed him whilst the attack was in progress, Liam Delap, which was nothing. And then for some reason, when they came together the second time, he had a little dabble at him with his foot, and I think that's what he's been booked for. It's
got to watch this.
It's very unnecessary.
Yeah, totally unnecessary, things like that. We know that he's a physical, strong player, but as I say, 7 bookings at this stage. Town do not want to be having a couple of games without him. Well, the entire season's key, but I was going to say a key stage later on. It's on level with Sam Morsey on bookings. Brighton on the far side of the field have the ball with Adam Webster. Back it goes to Verbruggen. Second half's carried on in a similar vein to which the bulk of the first was played. Webster, not much between the sides. Adingra. Now a Stupinan down the left-hand side in front of the Brighton fans. In comes his cross, back to goal. Nice turn from Adingra, blocked by Greaves, then belted away by Davis. It could have dropped down to another Brighton player. Again, Town had bodies in the way.
Yeah, that was a good move from Brighton. They tended to get away from Wes Burns down on that the Brighton left touchline, the Town right-hand touchline, and almost created themselves a little opportunity.
We'll hear from Kieran McKenna on Match Night before we're off air. Tomorrow night in the Match Day preview between 6 and 7 with Graham every Friday night. Town legend John Walk's thoughts on Bristol Rovers. Tonight's opponent's Brighton, and then what he's expecting from Manchester City when De Bruyne, Haaland and co come here on Sunday. I watched their game against Brentford the other night. Best game of football I've seen in the Premier League this season. Brentford were terrific. Manchester City pretty good as well. I thought Brentford were very, very impressive. As Webster stands on the ball inside Brighton's half of the field. Gives it to Estupiñán. For once tight to that far touchline, the left back that Mick was talking about at half-time. Now in between Webster and Estupiñán is Ayari. It's all rather at walking pace at the moment. Estupiñán now is drifting infield. It's O'Reilly who has the ball down the far side, coming infield. Matoma up towards O'Reilly. In steps Greaves. The ball is back with Ayari. Now O'Reilly to the left-hand side. João Pedro's inside the Ipswich Town area. Gets away from O'Shea, then loses his footing. No penalty at all. Again, the referee in a good position to make the right decision.
Yeah, very good position, and Dara O'Shea is having a right go at the Brighton player for sort of throwing himself down. It's just a upper bodily contact. There's no foot contact whatsoever.
Davis pushes the ball beyond Adingra. Nice play from the left back up to the halfway line. Wants to take on Van Hecke. Gets away from him, but not Veltman. Great run though from Davis. Eventually the referee says it's a Brighton free kick. A few fans getting a little bit aggravated. The ball is now back on the edge of the Brighton 6-yard area with Verbruggen. So are we going to see a goal between these sides this season? It's always likely to be a fairly tight affair, this one. Brighton go long over the top of the Town back line, but Greaves gets there ahead of João Pedro. He goes back to Walton. Oh, Walton's clattered into by João Pedro. That'll be a sore one for Walton. He's been flattened off to our right-hand side. Fans want João Pedro sent off. Walton stayed down in a heap. Have to see that one again. No urgent medical attention. Eventually Matt Bayard does come on to have a little look at Christian Walton.
Well, when I would like to see the replay, but my initial reaction was that there was nothing in it. I think that was just both players had a right to go for he had a right to try and block the ball, but in trying to block the ball, he obviously was going to always be when Christian Walton had his follow through, they were going to collide.
He's got a yellow card for it, João Pedro. Just looking at the action again. Obviously hit him, but then there's a real collision between
It's a right good collision, it really is.
Shoulder to shoulder.
And I think that the Brighton player was sort of braced for a collision, whereas Christian Walton wasn't braced for a collision, and that's why he's got hurt the most.
Yeah, it does look like it. The doctor is on the field, just checking Christian Walton's okay. Any threat of a head injury, concussion, anything like that, Town would be making a change, but he seems to be okay. It seemed to be shoulder to shoulder, and I think the referee got that right. He handled it well. Certainly wasn't worthy of any more than that. It's a free kick to Town though, which Walton himself is going to be taken. The TV camera zooming in on Aaron Muric, who's pulled his hood back up and zipped up his coat up to his chin. Not required for action tonight so far. Headed forward by Estupiñán of Brighton, nodded halfway by Cajuste. Liam Delap brings the ball down for Ipswich Town, turns, wants to torment and have a run at the Brighton back line. It wasn't a particularly good ball. Estupiñán has to take a touch. Burns is going to rob him. Burns is done brilliantly by the dead ball line. Terrific from Burns. Tries to pull it back. It was excellent wing play by the Welshman. It's out of play for a Town throw-in. Estupiñán has stayed down now for Brighton. So there'll be another little break in play. That was fine work from Wes Burns.
Well, the left back has stayed down in embarrassment.
Yep.
He's got it absolutely all wrong. He's hoping the ball would just go out of play. It didn't go out of play, and he's just embarrassed.
Brilliant play from Burns with a nutmeg on Webster off the back of it. That's exactly what it was. They made an almighty mess of that, Estupiñán. And Burns tigerishly was all over him. 10.5 gone in this second half. Last few moments, the challenge by João Pedro and Walton, and this little incident have livened things up even more. Dara O'Shea is signalling that he just wants Cajuste to come across and take charge of matters. It's a throw-in for Ipswich Town outside the Brighton box. can have sent out any number of substitutes near side. Taylor, Hurst, Johnson, Jack Clark, Sam Morsiola. Kayuste with a throw into the box, the backhander from Greaves. The shot from Burns is just wide. He's unlucky. Didn't have long to set himself. It wasn't the worst effort in the world, but 2 or 3 yards wide of the far post.
Yeah, he only just got it slightly wrong. You would fancy Wes Burns to actually put that into the far corner. It's a chance. He's had to be quick with it, and he's just sort of missed the far post by a little bit. So not bad. Town are actually well in this game. They really are. I don't think Brighton are anywhere near as composed as they were in the first 20-25 minutes.
No, not at all. Town doing well. Veltman. Broadhead can win the ball. No, he's fouled on halfway. It's free kick. Very fragmented at the moment, this game. Very little in the way of momentum, but Town doing well. Phillips goes back to Greaves. Really believe in themselves, Ipswich Town, that they can take points from Premier League games at the moment, and why not? The ball goes back into the Ipswich area with Wolfenden. He finds Walton. Walton just gets rid of it to Greaves behind left back. He finds Leif Davis. Davis in field to Kayuste, making himself available. Now with Davis behind left back, closed down by Baliba. Clips it down the line, out of play. Sadly not off Baliba. It's a throw to Brighton.
Yeah, I think Leif Davis could have gone infield there. There was an opportunity to pass that infield, and he seemed to sort of just lost his nerve a little bit.
Adingra onto the chest of Ayari. Baliba gives it back to Webster, the captain. 2 minutes shy of the hour mark on BBC Radio Suffolk Sport. Veltman. Ball round the back. Greaves didn't get enough on it. Ayari inside the Ipswich Town area. The pullback chance for Matt O'Reilly. Gives it towards Matoma. And Matoma makes it 1-0 to Brighton. After 58 minutes of this Premier League game, it's the Seagulls who score first. And up go their fans to celebrate in the cobbled stand opposite. Ipswich Town 0, Brighton and Hove Albion 1.
Yeah, it's a mistake by Jacob Greaves. If you're going to sort of reach for a ball like that, you must make sure you can do it, because otherwise, if you don't, you're going to go to ground and you're going to be out of the game, and that's what happened. You know, he reached for the ball, but he couldn't quite sort of deal with it, and therefore he's out of the game. Should have followed the ball, the run of the ball.
Well, that's good news for Wolves and Leicester and Everton fans, who are hoping that Ipswich Town wouldn't kick on tonight. I haven't seen their side lose last night, all 3 of them going down. Ipswich behind in this one, but still 31 minutes to go as Hutchinson stands over the ball in the centre of Portman Road. No third successive clean sheet here. Wolfenden has the ball, closed down by João Pedro, gives it to Greaves on the near side. Greaves has been unlucky, hasn't made many mistakes for Ipswich Town. He was unlucky here against Aston Villa when Morgan Rogers scored after that fluff clearance back in what that would have been August, and just caught out there as well. Davis with this thrown for Ipswich. The Brighton fans have obviously found their voice. Davis in field to Kayuste. Kayuste to Broadhead. Stomped down and out by Adingra. Davis next to a TV camera with this throw in for Ipswich Town. In field it goes towards Hutchinson. Now Greaves. Greaves plays it forward. I'd like to see the finish again from Matoma as to whether Walton could have done more on that goal. Maybe the body's in the way.
No, I did see the replay, Brenner, and it was Leif Davis. Leif Davis should have been stronger. The shot is a poor one. It's actually then gone off of Leif Davis's foot and just evaded the goalkeeper, but he could have dealt with it better, I think, Leif Davis. He could have been stronger on it.
Yeah, it didn't look a great finish from Matoma, but a good fortune for Brighton. Lewis Dunk about to come on for them. Davis with this free kick into the area. It comes, but it's held well by the Bruggen. Interesting to see if that means Brighton going to 3 at the back. Dunk's obviously going to come on and play at centre-half somewhere or other. There is Baliba going back to Verbruggen. Also got England caps. Lewis Dunk's had some games for England, actually. Made his international debut quite late on in his career. Matoma, the goal scorer, infield to Ayari, given away by Brighton, but Webster then passes it to O'Reilly up towards João Pedro. Nice touch from João Pedro, held back by Wolfenden. It's going to be a free kick and a yellow card for the Town number 6, because João Pedro was getting the better of him.
Yeah, he was going away from Luke Wolfenden, and he's got the little push in the back from Luke. It was he did well, Pedro. He seized upon the possibility of a mistake from Luke Wolfenden, and he was away.
Yeah, a little touch around the corner. Wolfenden had to do it. Referee just telling Liam Delap to shut up and take a wander. So here come the changes. Matt O'Reilly is the first player going off, to be replaced by Jorginho, as he's now known, formerly Jorginho Ruta, who scored here for Leeds last season. Good footballer as well. Cost an awful lot of money in the summer. That's not a bad change to be making. Another player is Dingra is coming off to be replaced by Minte. Goodness me, these are some changes. If anything, Brighton might actually be getting stronger with these players coming on. Minte, Jorginho and Dunk. Adam Webster's the other player going off, so no real change to their system. With all due respect to 3 good players who've gone off. Wow.
Well, you would have actually said there were more first-choice players that are coming on for the 3 that are going off.
Absolutely. Good players. Jorginho and Minte. You can already hear Jorginho's name being sung by the happy travelling supporters. Dunk, just on the field, will now play left-sided centre-half. One club man, great servant to Brighton. Numerous levels, Lewis Dunk. As the ball is with Stupinian. 18 gone in the second half, live on BBC Radio Suffolk. Town trailing Brighton 1-0. Ball down through the centre circle. Getting a few touches of the ball. Southampton 1-up at Manchester United. Wow. Goodness me, what a scoreline that would be if it stays like that. Doesn't obviously affect anybody's league position in terms of the bottom of the table, but in terms of the pressure on Ruben Amorim and the headlines it will make. Southampton only won 1 game all season. Estupiñán goes back towards Verbruggen. Sadly, it's also 1-0 here to the visitors. That was half-time, incidentally, at Old Trafford. That was an 8 o'clock kick-off. We were 7:30 tonight. Long ball downfield from Verbruggen. Flick header from João Pedro. Finds the goal scorer, Matoma. That was his 4th of the season. He wants to take on O'Shea. Matoma attempts the cross, comes back off O'Shea. And then it comes off as Estupiñán. Burns edge of the area, infield to Phillips. Phillips gets it away. Remember, he can't play on Sunday, so Sam Morsey will be back in the side when Phillips' parent club comes here. So yeah, Town have got Man City here on Sunday, 4:30 that. We're on air from 3:30. Then it's Liverpool away, at Southampton at home. What a huge game that is at the start of February. And then Town go to Coventry in the 4th round of the FA Cup before a trip to Villa. João Pedro running with the ball infield, inside the box. Jorginho gives it to Minte just on the field. Cleared away eventually, not very far by Wolfenden. Edge of the area, Brighton still have the ball now just outside of it with Baliba. Gets away from Phillips, gives it towards the number 14, Jorginho. It's Town back on the ball. Minte wins it back towards Van Hecker. Brighton certainly not settling for 1-0. Here is Estupiñán. Estupiñán still has the ball, carries it towards the left corner of the Ipswich area. Matoma, off the outside of his right boot, passes it to Dunk. I'd imagine we'll get confirmation of when exactly that Coventry game is going to be in the next few days. Certainly the weekend, around about the 8th of February, that's the Saturday. Ayari catches Kayuste. Town have already got a man down. I think it's Calvin Phillips, but he's going to be okay. Looks to be in a bit of pain, but he's on all fours now. He's up on his feet.
Yeah, this game has really sort of been a bit of a surprise this half. At the very time that Town started to look as if we could possibly go on to win the game, Brighton have sort of got themselves a goal and against the run of play, and now they sort of look as if they're in charge of the game again.
Yeah, they do. As I say, very impressive, the substitutes that they've made. Town have the ball at the back with Wolfenden. He gives it to O'Shea. O'Shea belts it forward, but it hits the head of Ayari. Baliba with the header on, nodded into the box. João Pedro turns, shoots. Oh, what a save from Walton! Off to his right-hand side with his left hand. That was a terrific stop from the goalkeeper.
Yes, it was. It was a terrific bit of play by Pedro as well. His control wasn't brilliant, but his spin and shot was excellent. You know, it's going right into the top corner, that one. Great save by the goalkeeper.
Yeah, it really was. Corner kick to Brighton. The first of the second half. It's Ayari to take it. That was a really, really good save. When I see that again from Christian Morton, well done. Kept Town in this game. So many bodies in the 6-yard area off to a right-hand side. There's all sorts going on in there. As Ayari gets ready, referee seems happy enough. Dunk's got himself in there as well. In comes the corner kick, 1-0 to Brighton. It's still 1-0, and that's come off with one of their players last. Sam Morsey coming on for Ipswich Town, possibly for Calvin Phillips.
I don't know how the referee was happy with what was going on in that 6-yard box. I mean, that is just it's a wrestling match in there. It really is. I mean, just leave it out. I mean,
the Brighton player ended up thrown into the net. I think it was Veltman. Walton went for it, didn't get a great deal on the ball, but anyway, deserved a bit of luck.
I mean, they're all guilty of it. It's not just sort of Town players, it's Brighton players as well. And referees have just got to stamp it out.
Miscontrol from Wolfen. O'Shea to Phillips. Phillips turns the ball on. It's kept in far side. 3/4 of this game have gone. Brighton lead 1-0 through this man Matoma on a run. Infield to João Pedro, back into the box to Jorginho, who shoots into the side netting from a very acute angle. It's come off a Town player. It's another corner kick to Brighton, who are trying to wrap up this game. Taylor coming on, so both midfielders coming off for Ipswich Town, one would have thought. It's had a bit of freshness into the centre of the park.
Yeah, it needs a change because looking at the team, we look a little bit disillusioned. We're disappointed with how the game has gone away from us, and it has been undeservedly as well, but you've got to have a bit more personality than what we're showing at the moment.
Brighton have got a line of 3 players around the penalty spot. João Pedro, Van Hecke and Dunk. João Pedro goes down, thrown down by Delap, or involved in a collision with Delap. Just got to keep calm.
He's got to be careful. That wasn't actually a collision. He really sort of just manhandled the player to the ground. It was again a wrestling match.
Yeah, got to watch. Don't want to be facing Man City or anybody without Liam Delap. For obvious reasons, he'd be particularly keen to play against them on Sunday. Corner kick to Brighton. They lead 1-0 on BBC Radio Suffolk. Back header goes across goal from Liam Delap. Then a sliced clearance, nodded away by O'Shea. Minte, the former Newcastle player who never actually played for Newcastle United. The ball's he was on loan at Feyenoord last season before Newcastle sold him to Brighton for £35 million. I mean, Jorginho cost £40 million. They spent big in the summer, Brighton. So here comes the double change for Ipswich Town. Actually, Burns is going off to be replaced by Taylor. It's an interesting one. And the other change is Kayuste is going off to be replaced by Morsey.
We'll see what that definitely going to a back 4, aren't we?
Taylor and number 5, Sam Morsey.
Morsey taking on the armband. Throw in for Brighton. Trying to kill off any hopes of an Ipswich Town comeback. 20 minutes still to go, so there certainly is time for Ipswich to get something from this match. One of the best efforts on goal were from Town in the first half, forcing saves from Verbruggen. Jorginho by the tunnel, little drag back, but it's out of play. And it's going to be a goal kick which Walton can take for Ipswich Town.
Yeah, I think we're going to go to a 4 at the back with O'Shea playing right back, and Omari Hutchinson's gone right out onto the right touchline, so he's going to be our right side attacker.
Delap battling, he won the battle, but then he lost his footing. Baliba gives it to Matoma. Ayari to the left-hand side, João Pedro outside the Ipswich area. In comes his cross to the far post, headed away by Davis. Phillips can bring it down and just play it out to the left, and Delap near his side. Van Hecker takes the ball off of him. Clean challenge as well. Minter's got the ball, the number 17 to Matoma. One touch outside the area, runs into traffic. Well won by Morsey. Morsey still has the ball, but he can't find Hutchinson. Instead, he gives it to Dunk. 26 and a half gone in this second period, live on BBC Radio Suffolk Sport. Brighton lead 1-0. Matoma with the goal after 58 minutes. Jack Clark's just gone out for a jog on this near side. It's good to speak to him for the first time after the game on Sunday. Dunk arrows the ball downfield towards Matoma, battling with O'Shea at right back. O'Shea under illegal pressure from Matoma gets a free kick. Back into the Ipswich area it goes to Wolfenden. Wolfenden pushes it forward to Phillips, reunited with Morsey. Up to Hutchinson. Hutchinson controls the ball. One touch from Taylor back to O'Shea. O'Shea then looks towards Delap. Baliba intercepts. Veltman has it just inside the Brighton half. He'll play it back to Verbruggen. Delap's going to try and close down Verbruggen. Eventually gets it to Dunk. Dunk to the centre of the field. Ayari controls it well. Touch to João Pedro, trying to roll Wolfenden. Out to the left side, Matoma. Forward come the yellow shirts off to the right. Matoma's just inside the area. Gives it back to João Pedro. Weak effort from him. It's come off an Ipswich Town player for a corner kick to Brighton.
He's done really well, Pedro, for me. He's sort of led the line very, very well. He's been showing some great control. He's been a real plus for
He's a good player.
Brighton, a real plus.
Yeah, I like him. It's been a good signing for them. We've got Danny Welbeck available if needed. He's got half a dozen goals this season. The former Manchester United, Arsenal and England striker Danny Welbeck. Estupinian by the tunnel off to our right hand side. Town have got 16 and a half minutes plus whatever added on time there is to get at least an equaliser and could sign Brighton to yet another draw. Brighton though want to consolidate this lead. Corner kick from Estupinian, bends towards the far post. Delap does enough against Dunk.
Well, I think Dunk should have done better than that, because there was a little touch from Delap, but if he had just purely and simply concentrated on the ball, that was a good ball, and it was a heading ball. You know, he could easily have headed that ball back across. He's too concerned about what Liam Delap was going to do.
Kick from Walton straight down the field. Dunk is there, who played alongside Christian Walton, the only survivor really from Walton's days at the Amex. Wide on the right is Jorginho taking on Greaves, getting away from him. Jorginho still has the ball, elects not to cross early, waits for support in the centre, eventually gives it back to Veltman. Veltman in field to Baliba. Baliba goes square, but only to Amari Hutchinson, given away by the Brighton midfielder. Hutchinson comes in field, takes on a couple of players, beats them, but then eventually the ball bobbles away from him, and Brighton have it at the back with Veltman. Now with Van Hecker. Full match commentary Sunday afternoon. The reigning Premier League champions Manchester City will be in Suffolk. It's a 4:30 kickoff, run air from 3:30 with all the build-up to that one. It's 4-1, of course, when City beat Ipswich in their first away game of the Premier League season. That Haaland hat-trick. Here is Ayari up towards Jorginho. Gives it to the right-hand side and Veltman. Jorginho's got the ball back against Leif Davis, former teammates on this right-hand side. Veltman to Ayari. Now again with Veltman. Baliba controls it, gives it back to Dunk. Verbruggen hasn't had to do very much for a while now in this game, sadly. Estupinian. Hutchinson slid in. Brighton still have the ball. Matoma tries to thread it through a little gap. Phillips is there. He gives it to Hutchinson. Hutchinson then finds Taylor. Taylor can't quite get it under control. Minter steps in there. Dunk's been involved in a collision which has hurt him. and Veltman's kicked it out near side, so his captain can get some treatment. Let's have a look to see if there's any more changes from the Town bench. Yeah, George Hurst seems to be taking off his vest underneath us. 14 minutes to go. Great to see him back in action. Danny Welbeck is indeed coming on for Brighton. Wasn't involved at all in their last league encounter. Got some minutes at Norwich, working his way back to fitness. He's now 34, Welbeck. Dunk, incidentally, back up on his feet as Broadhead and Phillips come across for some refreshment. Morsey just having a little word with Taylor, sorting stuff out there. Taylor obviously playing in front of Morsey and Phillips. João Pedro, it's like for like. Pedro being booed by the home fans. I think he's done a good job for Brighton.
Isn't all these 4 subs that have come on, didn't they all play start the game at Brighton?
Yeah, absolutely. All top players. Welbeck, 42 appearances for England back in the day. I remember him scoring a terrific goal for Preston against Ipswich Town when he was on loan from Manchester United. First time I saw him, I really heard of him. A beautiful chip goal from the edge of the area at Deepdale. He's had a very good career. Pedro being warmly greeted by the Brighton coaches down below us. Verbruggen, right-footed from him over halfway. 12.5 minutes to go. And it's turning into quite a chilly night at Portman Road. Forward from Ayari. Greaves is underneath us. Underneath it, Greaves got the header, finds Minter. Minter got that ball all wrong. Bolton's quickly out there as O'Shea went galloping after Welbeck. Welbeck was never going to get on it. Morsey, urged on by the crowd, plays a good ball to the left. Van Hecke gets there ahead of Delap.
Yeah, that was a good run from Delap and a really good ball from Sam Morsey. That's the type of ball we've got to sort of search for.
Wolfenden in the middle of Ipswich Town's back 3. There is Greaves. Calvin Phillips plays the ball back to Christian Walton. 78 on the clock. Another really good crowd at Portman Road for this game. 27,000 for that cup game on Sunday was astonishing. Wolfenden inside his penalty area, goes back to Walton. That terrific save from Walton. The effort from João Pedro has kept Ipswich Town's chances of getting something from this game alive. Morsey gets away from Welbeck, stabs the ball to Taylor. Taylor crossing halfway far side. He finds Hutchinson running in from the right touchline, taking on a Stupinan inside the area. Hutchinson still has the ball, but then his body went ahead of it, and Matoma was able to step in and take it away from him. Matoma still has the ball. He gets a shove in the back from Taylor. That's a Brighton ball far side.
That was a great opportunity for Mari Hutchinson there. He's got complete control of the ball. He's going at his full-back. He's just sort of needed to sort of slow down slightly and then accelerate again. He seemed to be sort of going at one pace for about 20-25 yards, and the left back, it was easy for the left back to just track him.
Long ball forward from back to front for Brighton. Jorginho's run across to the far side, the Brighton left in front of their fans. Now Matoma on that far touchline, bends the ball forward. Morsey's in the way. Morsey heads it off the edge of his box. And the free kick's been given against Morsey down the left side of the Ipswich area. Being a little bit overly physical on Estupiñán, says the referee. Yeah, he's sort of like holding on to his head as he was jumping up in the air, Morsey. Ayari is over this set piece for Brighton.
Nice position. 6 in the box again.
It's only 2021. Ayari. Brighton have a free kick down the left side of the Ipswich penalty area. Ayari's over it. He's got players in the centre who can curl the ball in towards, or he could just roll it short to Estupiñán, Baliba or Minte, who are all just outside the Ipswich area. He's got his hand in the air, Ayari, but the referee's told him to just hold on a second, wants to have a little word. There's someone or other in there. finally, Brighton can take this free kick. Ayari down the left side of the Ipswich Town box. He's got his hand in the air. That's the signal. He knocks it in low. The attempted flick on, and then the turn and hit finds the corner of the net. And it's Jorginho who scored here for Leeds last season. Has now more than likely sealed a Brighton win this time around. Less than 10 minutes to go at Portman Road. The ball's in the back of Walton's net for a second time. It's Ipswich Town 0, Brighton and Hove Albion 2.
Well, 4 of the 6 players that were in the box there started on the outside of Leif Davis. Then they made the runs across the box, and there was a whole group of players ended up on the near post. And one of them, Jorginho, he's almost just like scooped the ball in. It's a strange actually hit of a ball, but it's like a scoop, and he's fortunate that it's gone right through the legs of one of his own players. Deliberately jumped, the player that it went through the legs of deliberately jumped to avoid the ball, but very strange goal.
Yeah, he had his back to goal and spun, and in one motion turned the ball into the corner of the net. Off will come, I was going to say Delap, but maybe not. Delap's run across to the near side. Let's see what Ipswich Town exactly are going to be doing. They're going to be bringing on, I know for a fact that Hurst and Jack Clark are coming on. Phillips and Delap have come across to the near side, but for whatever reason not being able to take those two off just now. Kieran McKenna speaking to the fourth official, Matthew Donoghue, about this. Seems to be a bit of confusion over what's going on. Fabian Herzl is also involved. Still no play, incidentally, since the goal. Nathan Broadhead's waiting impatiently on the centre spot, ready to get play back underway. And Delap now having a word with the fourth official as well. Don't know what on earth's going on here. Oh, check for possible offside on VAR has just come up on the screen.
I've just seen it. I think that Luke Wolfenden has played. It's the guy that's jumped over the ball that they're probably checking. Did he confuse Christian Walton or not? But actually, Luke Wolfenden appeared to me to be actually playing him onside anyway.
This will be a big boost for Ipswich Town if this goes their way with 6 minutes to go. Very difficult to see from the angle that we're looking at. There's a player in the way, but I think there was a covering defender.
But you have a look at
back.
Luke Wolfenden's position across here.
Yeah, I think he was playing him onside. I think they spotted him. Anyway, we're still waiting. And it's going to be given. No offside offence against Dunk, sadly, so it's 2-0. Changes are going to be made now. Hurst and Jack Clark are coming on for Phillips. Sorry, Hurst and Jack Clark are coming on for Delap and Phillips. And once that's all been sorted out, there are 6 minutes plus added on to go. Wolfenden has the ball at the back for Ipswich Town. Right-footed, launches it out to the left-hand side. Off the top of Hurst's head, it finds Davis on the left. Davis comes back. Here is Jack Clark, infield to Taylor, back to Clark down the left-hand side. Tries to play a 1-2 with Hurst. Taylor has the ball for Ipswich, gets his cross into the box. Estupiñán with a cushioning header back to his goalkeeper, Verbruggen. Brighton leading by 2-0. Their first ever top flight victory at Portman Road is 5 minutes plus added on away. Ipswich Town not making the most of those results last night, sadly. Kicked forward by Verbruggen into the Ipswich Town half of the field. Greaves sees the ball bounce. Jorginho's all over him. Ipswich eventually get it out to Leif Davis. Now with Taylor. Ipswich back in the bottom three at the moment. On the far side, Hutchinson has the ball. Back to Morsey. Town passing it around one touch inside their half of the field. 4.5 minutes to play. Brighton keen to end this run of 8 without a win in the league. Been a very profitable few days in East Anglia for them. Back to Greaves in the left back area. Greaves finds Clark. Clark infield to Morsey. Morsey to O'Shea. Forward to Hutchinson on that far touchline, just inside Brighton territory. Back to the halfway line, and Morsey once again rolls it square and finds Taylor. Greaves coming forward for Ipswich Town. Davis controls it, comes in field inside the Brighton half. Town with possession. Brighton happy enough with that. Wolfenden plays it along the deck to the right. Hutchinson, a chance for him to create from wide. Left-footed, he crosses into the middle, headed away by Dunk. Nodded on by Minte. Greaves is on it for Ipswich Town. Back to the halfway line, and Wolfenden. There is Jack Taylor to Broadhead. Broadhead to O'Shea. Matomo's on to him. It's out far side. Throw back to Wolfenden. 3 minutes plus added on time to go. Wolfenden. Brighton will be confident they can see this one out, no doubt. Clark, one touch. Back to Greaves. There is Taylor. Christian Walton finds Greaves. Town playing it around in and around their penalty area at the moment, which suits Brighton an absolute treat. Wolfenden towards O'Shea at right back in front of the Brighton fans. Wolfenden can't go forward, has to give it back to Walton on the edge of his 6-yard area. And then a terrible kick from Walton. He's just kicked it straight out for a corner. That was very, very bizarre. Totally needless from him. A little bit of a panic, perhaps.
Just a big mistake, really. I mean, it wasn't a difficult thing to do, you know. I don't think he particularly liked playing around at the back, but he could easily have done better than that. That was just a mistake.
29,403 watching this rare Thursday night game. It's almost as if Ipswich Town are in the Europa League with games on Sundays and Thursdays at the moment. That's a target for Brighton this season, to get themselves back into a European football second competition next season. Corner kick to Brighton. Underneath the scoreboard in the far right corner of Portman Road. Referee just having a glare at what's going on in Walton's 6-yard area. 2-0 Brighton, live on BBC Radio Suffolk. Final 90 seconds. In comes the corner. Headed off the line pretty much by O'Shea. Another corner kick to Brighton, this time from by the tunnel.
Yeah, it's actually a good headed clearance, you know, but it's given Brighton another corner. It'll take another 30 seconds or so to take it.
Something's going on inside the 6-yard area. The referee's there. It's going to calm down a little bit. Very difficult from here to tell who was involved. About 15, 16, 17 players at least in a very tight little area. Dara O'Shea, Danny Welbeck having a word, or the referee's having a word with them. It's not going to be imminent, this corner. Maybe now things have settled down a little bit. All the noise coming from the Brighton supporters, cheering their side home to a much-needed win. Estupiñán with this corner kick for Brighton. And it comes low to the near post, terrible. Volleyed away by Morsey. He's going to have to chase after it himself and then head it forward. Broadhead's going to rise for this one, but it's Baliba who gets on the ball, belts it against Morsey. Veltman safety first. Rolls it back to his goalkeeper. The board is about to rise down below us to tell us how much added on time there is going to be. I doubt there's going to be enough. Here's Jorginho, who made it 2-0. Up towards Welbeck, little touchback, 6 minutes to go as Brighton try to get Welbeck in on goal. Well, you never know, 6 minutes.
Yeah, that's not bad, you'd settle for 6.
O'Shea to Taylor, the ball well inside the Ipswich Town half though. Hutchinson hits it up. Jack Clark's underneath this, Veltman wins the header, Morsey controls it on his chest. Next full match commentary Sunday on air from 3:30 match day. Kickoff's 4:30 against Manchester City. Yellow card for Veltman, to the delight of the home crowd. I clearly feel he's been a bit naughty. Taylor going back, taking this free kick, gives it to Clark. Tell me post-match on Saturday how much he'd love to score his first league goal for Ipswich Town. O'Shea to Wolfenden. Closed down by Jorginho. Greaves has the ball. Davis trying to make himself available near side. Greaves, little gap, finds Morsey. Morsey centrally rolls it to O'Shea on the far side. 1 minute of the added-on 6 gone. Morsey. Town haven't posed the same threat in the second half. Taylor finds Wolfenden. Now Jacob Greaves. Clark in the centre circle. Floats a diagonal ball to the right side, controlled by Hutchinson in some space. Town have got to score now, you feel, if they're going to get anything from this game, to have the slightest of chances. Morsey. He's been closed down by Ayari. Morsey gets away from him, finds Greaves. The momentum's rather gone. All 10 yellow shirts now behind the ball. It's a chance initially for Hutchinson to do something with it when he got it in space wide right outside the box. Clark gives it to Davis. Greaves lose the ball to Minter, but he's fouled. Free kick to Ipswich Town. 4 minutes of the added-on 6 to go.
Yeah, this has been difficult really ever since they got their first goal. You know, that just gave them the impetus, and then since then we found it really difficult.
2.5 minutes into added-on time. Leif Davis has this long-range free kick for Ipswich Town. Into the Brighton box it goes, off to our left. Beyond the far post, O'Shea heads it back into the middle, cleared away by Minte. Only as far as Taylor, couldn't control it. O'Shea then can't get it back to Hutchinson as he would have wished. Brighton are about to make at least one more change. Hutchinson crosses into the Brighton area, headed away by Dunk. Jakub Moder is about to come on, who's a Polish midfielder. Morsey finds Davis. 3 minutes of the added-on 6 have disappeared. 2-0 Brighton lead on BBC Radio Suffolk. Matoma and Jorginho. Good touch from Hurst if Broadhead can get there. Not quite, not at this stage of proceedings. It's out behind for a goal kick to Brighton, who can now make that potentially final change. Ayari is the player going off.
Just too much pace on that ball for Broadhead. You know, it's a shame really. We're a different team now in the last sort of half an hour of the game. Purely and simply, first goal goes to Brighton, and we just got very disillusioned with it. Brighton took some confidence from it, and we just went the other way.
Goal kick to Brighton. Verbruggen off to our left with it. 2 minutes of added-on time to go, and haven't really looked like getting back into this game, sadly. Your thoughts welcome afterwards. 0800 141 2121. That's the phone number. Or text 81333. Start those messages SFK. Van Hecker belts the ball downfield, guided back off the forehead of Wolfenden. Or WhatsApp 08000 321 333. Start those messages SFK. Kieran McKenna's thoughts to come. For off air at 10:30. Taylor took a chance, had to go back to Greaves. Greaves passes the ball out of his area to Davis. Davis in the left back area finds Morsey edge of the box. Morsey forward, given away. Matoma's got the ball. He's going to run it across to the far corner. Matoma still got the ball, gets his low cross in, intercepted by O'Shea. He lays it off to Morsey. Morsey to Hutchinson. Approaching the final minute of this match. Taylor to Greaves. Leif Davis infield to Jack Clark. Loses the ball. Jorginho gets it. Holds off Clark. Taylor goes to ground. His challenge turns into a forward ball for Hurst. Van Hecker is there first. Dunk. 40 seconds to go. Clark brings down Veltman. Points are going back to the south coast. Sadly, Ipswich Town will be hosting Manchester City on Sunday off the back of a defeat. Jorginho's name being sung by the Brighton fans. 2.5 hour journey's been worth it tonight. TV camera zooming towards the bench down below us. Moments away from the two managers shaking hands. Not quite yet. That's a flag up for offside against Brighton. Can't be many more whistles to go, because that, according to my watch, is the 6th minute of added on time up. O'Shea back to Walton. Out the ball goes to Morsey. Greaves to Davis. Infield to Clark. That is the full-time whistle from Mr. Harrington. It's Ipswich Town's first defeat of the new year. They've lost by 2-0 at home to Brighton and Hove Albion.
Yeah, all just went away from us in the second half. I think the manager's selected a good side. He set his side up to play a certain way. I think the response was very, very good from everybody. We just saw a lot of pressure, a lot of possession by Brighton in that first sort of 10 or 15 minutes, but we slowly but surely sort of got to grips with it and actually improved through the first half, and probably by the end of the first half probably shaded that first period of the game. Certainly we made their goalkeeper work harder than what Brighton made Christian Walton work, and then I thought we came out in the second half and again looked as if we were going to be fractionally the better side. It was all going okay, and then all of a sudden, you know, it was a slight mistake by Jacob Greaves. Maybe he shouldn't have tried to pull the ball out of the air. He's gone down on his backside. He's now no longer part of the play, and the ball has just been worked across our penalty area, and they score the first goal. From that moment onwards, Brighton absolutely took control of it. They liked the position they found themselves in, 1-0 up with only 30 minutes to play, and then they sort of had a calmness about them, a confidence about them, and obviously a lot of experience at this level. So they saw that 30 minutes out really comfortably. We made lots and lots of changes. We never really improved, and they finally obviously got another goal, and once that second went in, it was really curtains, the end of the game. But it was the first goal for me that changed the course of the match, without question. Up until that time, I thought we had equipped ourselves very well. The system was working, the players were making it work well. Decent performance for an hour, and then last 30 minutes, no, it wasn't good enough. So we'll be disappointed that we didn't sort of make it pay up until the hour mark. We should have maybe sort of got the first goal of the game, but once Brighton got it, it was the end.
Liam Delap and Fabian Herzl having a right old long chat, all very friendly and smiley down below us, so to have been able to listen in to that. Sadly, no goal for Liam Delap tonight, and no goals for Ipswich Town against Brighton this season, sadly. Kieran McKenna's thoughts on the way before 10:30, and possibly those of an Ipswich Town player, reflecting on the end of this mini unbeaten run of 3 games, because Brighton have come here tonight and beaten them by 2-0.